What's up guys, this is Ghost here bringing you the fifth part of my jet tutorial. Today we're going to be covering how to dodge or avoid missiles. Now there are multiple ways to do this, but often you have to use more than one technique in order to stay alive. So first I'll be covering the first technique, and that is to use flares. And obviously this is the obvious one, and probably it's the technique you're going to use the most. The other ones are more risky and really backup techniques. So I know this is a very simple thing, but a lot of people still ask about this, when to actually use the flares. When you're being locked onto, there are a series of beeps. You get the initial beep, which means that somebody is trying to get a lock on. This will be like an intermittent doot 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 doot. That means somebody's actually trying to get a lock on. Once you hear the long drone note after that, that means they have successfully locked onto you. And once you hear the higher pitched beeping, that means they have actually launched a missile. And it's when you hear that higher pitched beep that you should use your flares. If you are, on the other hand, using the ECM jammer, you have to use it before you hear that higher pitched beep. Because if they've already launched a missile, then the ECM jammer isn't going to do anything, as it is designed to prevent the enemy from actually getting a lock on in the first place. So let's say you got locked on and use your flares, and then you get locked on again. That means you're going to have to use one of these techniques we're covering here in order to avoid the missile. So one of the easiest techniques to use is called below radar. What this does is, when you're flying close to the ground, it reduces your heat signature, making it impossible for the enemy to actually get the lock on. This is actually a passive ability of the jet that you unlock. I think it's 8,600 score. So if you're new to the jet, it is going to take you a while to unlock this ability, but once you have it, it is priceless. You know, as long as you're flying close to the ground, not only does it stop enemy lock-ons, but any enemy jet pilots or helicopter pilots who are using the air radar, they won't be able to see you on that radar, so you can actually use it to disappear in stealth. And regardless, even if you haven't unlocked the air radar yet, it's still a good idea to fly close to the ground. It's going to make the enemy engineers on the other team have a much harder time getting a lock on. So the next technique is simply to fly up high and gain altitude. This is really going to work against enemies on the ground, and it's best used against those. So if somebody's locking you from the ground, either try and stay close to the ground and use below radar, or try and gain altitude and fly out of range. If you're going up against a helicopter and you're pretty sure it's him that's locking you, again, gaining altitude is really going to fuck him up, because helicopters gain altitude very slowly compared to a jet. So he maybe locks you once, you can flare, but then you're already far above him and he won't be able to lock you again. Then you just simply have to try and take him out before he gets you. Flying behind and between buildings can also be helpful. So if you're flying close to the ground, but you don't lose the lock on, and you've already used your flares, a last resort can be to try and dodge between buildings and just hope that the missile will strike the building instead of your jet. So let's go on to the final and hardest technique, which is missile dodging. First of all, you need to know where the missile has oriented from, that is to say where it's coming from. And oftentimes in a 64 player map that can be difficult, so it is a little bit of a gamble to simply guess where it's coming from, but most of the time it's from the ground. So if you think you know where the missile is coming from, what you want to do is begin on flying directly away from the missile, in the direction the missile has been launched, and then take a sharp turn and double back and afterburner towards its point of origin. And if you do that correctly and at the right timing, you should dodge it. Sometimes you do it too early or too late and the missile will hit you, but this just comes down to practice. So I hope you found these tips useful guys, and if you can master all of them and learn how to use them in tandem to avoid missiles, then you should be virtually unstoppable. As always, feel free to leave comments below. I am considering doing an F-35 tutorial as well as possibly a helicopter tutorial, so let me know if that's something you guys are interested in, and if there's enough interest there, then I'll probably go ahead and make that. As always, feel free to press the thumbs up button and subscribe, and I will see you guys in my next video. Okay, take care guys, bye.